Morning, all my friends in Arrington, Coombs, Hilliers, Whiskey Creek, and Meadow Woods. I'm Susan Peirce, and I'm the librarian at the Parksville Library. And today I'd like to introduce you to one of our online resources called Tumble Book Libraries. At the end of January, there's a very special day coming up called Family Literacy Day. And this is a day that we encourage kids and their families to read together and to do reading related activities. So I'd like to make sure that everyone has some access to books, whether they're books from the library or just books that you read online. So as you can see on our screen, I have pulled up the Tumble Book Library website. So the website is free to use, and during the pandemic, Tumble Book Libraries has made it publicly accessible to all kids and families. So you don't even need a library card to access Tumble Book Libraries right now. You can either access it through our website, through the All Databases page, or you can just type in Tumble Book Libraries into your search bar on your browser and Tumble Book Libraries will come up. So the first category I want to discuss and show you in a little tour is the storybooks area. So I just clicked on storybooks if you saw me, and all of these books that have come up are storybooks. I'm actually going to show you a few specific storybooks with specific features. So the first one I'm going to show you is under award winners and bestsellers. This book you might be familiar with. It's called Duck Rabbit. In order to open the book, all you need to do is click on the picture icon of the book. It will come up with a separate page, and there will be an icon that says play video. You click on play video.
Hey, look! A duck! That's not a duck. That's a rabbit. Are you kidding me? It's totally a duck. It's for sure a rabbit. See? There's his bill. What are you talking about? Those are ears, silly. It's a duck. And he's about to eat a piece of bread. It's a rabbit, and he's about to eat a carrot.
So that's a sample of Duck Rabbit book. If you want to complete watching that book, you can look it up on Tumble Books. The next type of book that I wanted to show you is called Early Readers. So if you scroll down the storybook page, you get to the heading called Early Readers. This is where you can practice doing some reading. So if you're in grade 1 or grade 2, you can even practice your own reading with this database. I'm going to click on I Could Read Biscuit book cover. And then we're going to play the video. In the video, you will see that the words to be read are highlighted as they're read by the person who reads them, so you can read along too.
This is Biscuit. Biscuit is small. Biscuit is yellow. Time for bed, Biscuit. Woof, woof. Biscuit wants to play.
So again, we won't play the whole book for you to listen to, but if Biscuit is a book that you would like to practice reading, you can find it in the early readers section. The next type of storybook I want to show you is the music category. So this type of category is really special because as the book is read aloud, it also has music accompanying it. So let's play Frank Was a Monster Who Wanted to Dance. I'm going to play the video now.
Frank was a monster who wanted to dance.
I know I could boogie if they gave me a chance.
So he put on his hat and his shoes made in France. and opened a jar and put ants in his pants. He drove to the theater and jumped on stage. Then he danced like his shoe size instead of his age. Frank shook his shoulders and strutted his stuff. The audience screamed, they couldn't get enough. Frank did a cartwheel. Frank did a flip.
So if you want to continue the story and see what happens with Frank and his dancing, you can finish the book on Tumble Books. The next type of storybook I want to talk to you about are the rhyming books. So everybody likes a rhyming storybook. And so let's play one. And this one is also another one you might know called Goodnight, Goodnight Construction Site. And I'm going to play a bit of video for that.
Down in the big construction site, the tough trucks work with all their might to build a building, make a road, to get the job done, load by load. The sun has set, the work is done. It's time for trucks to end their fun. So one by one, they'll go to bed, to yawn and rest their sleepy heads. Then wake up to another day of rough and tough construction play.
All right, so the last category that I want to talk about is the fables and fairy tales category. So before we start watching a story for that, I also want to mention that I'll be mentioning 2 stories that I recommend in the fables and fairy tales section. And then we will have 2 videos following this video that are crafts that are linked to these 2 stories. So if you would like to do a craft activity after a story, then you can follow along to learn what those stories are. So the first story that I want to highlight is Jack and the Beanstalk. This is probably a very familiar story that you probably have heard of already. So I'm going to play a little bit of Jack and the Beanstalk. And then if you want to listen to the whole story, you can find it on Tumble Books, and then you can do the associated craft with that.
This is a story about a plant, but not just any old plant, a beanstalk, a magic beanstalk. It is also the story of a boy named Jack, his mother, and their cow, Annabelle.
All right, and then the other fairy tale that I'm going to recommend that has a craft associated with it is the 3 Silly Billies. And you can also find that in the fable and fairy tale section.
The 3 silly Billies were ready to kick up their heels and have some fun in the sun. They packed up their old jalopy, and with a spit, a chug, and a honk, off they tootled. Down the hill and through the woods went the Billies, until they came to a small wooden bridge that crossed a very deep river.
All right, in order to finish that story, you can look it up on Tumble Book Libraries. The other section that I want to mention is called playlists. So if you would like to look at a whole string of books all in a row, you can choose a theme from the playlist. So there is a playlist for the early readers, like I told you before. So if you want to do some reading and you want to do a book one after the other, you can do that. Also, there is actually a fairy tale playlist as well. And in this playlist happens to be Jack and the Beanstalk and the 3 Silly Billies. So you can look at both of those books as well as multiple other fairy tales. If you click on the read online, you can skip to the books that you want to look at by using the next book button. So Boy Soup is in this, Jack and the Beanstalk is in this, Burroughs Tortillas, The Three Silly Billies, Once Upon a Breath, The Paper Bag Princess, Paper Crane, Clever Beatrice, and that concludes the list. Finally, what I wanted to mention to you is the Learning Languages button. Some kids are in French immersion, or they're also learning Spanish. There are books on here in other languages. So if you'd like to read another language or learn to read along, you can do that using the playlists.
Oh, j'entends un drôle de bruit, dit Toupie. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Ah! C'est ton ventre qui gargouille, Binou. Ça doit être l'heure de la collation alors. Toupie va chercher le bol de fruits. Qu'est-ce que tu préfères, Binou? Une pomme ou une banane?
Also, for those kids still trying to learn a language, if you don't completely understand a second language, you can go to the bilingual playlist. They will play the book first in English and then in the other language. So you can listen to the book and understand it first in English, and then you can listen to it in the second language. So this one is in Spanish. So I'm going to let you hear a version of that.
There was a princess named Elizabeth who was going to marry a prince named Ronald.
And here it is in Spanish.
Elizabeth era una princesa muy linda. Vivía en un castillo y tenía lujosos vestidos de princesa. Se iba a casar con un príncipe llamado Ronaldo.
So thank you for joining me through this tour of Tumble Books. I invite you to read as many books as you can. Again, please check out Jack and the Beanstalk or the Three Silly Billies if you'd like to participate in the craft videos after this. Otherwise, thanks for listening, all my friends from Arrington, Coombs, Hilliers, Whiskey Creek, and Meadow Woods, and I can't wait to see you again in another video.